Hello and welcome to Beyond Games, the YouTube gaming channel all about what happens next. I'm John Jordan. So today we're having a look at Burberry, which is the UK fashion chain, and they have designed some in-game character skins for the Chinese game Honor of Kings. So we've seen over the last few years, quite a lot of interaction between fashion brands, generally high-end fashion brands, and kind of a digital entertainment and games. And obviously people are very interested in high-end fashion brands and can't always afford the kind of physical items, whether that's the clothes or the handbags or the shoes or the funny hats or whatever it may be. But potentially quite interested in buying kind of a cheaper physical digital versions of those in their games. So it's a nice way, I guess, for the very high-end brands to take advantage of their of the attractive nature that they have, but also because they're not having to physically make real world clothes or items, they can just an artist can make thousands of them digitally for effectively very low price, certainly in terms of making more of them, and they can monetize a much larger group of people in that way. So this is just one example of what's been going on. Now, in some ways, this might look kind of quite funny to some eyes, and in the UK, Burberry as the fashion brand has kind of over the years been quite interesting in the sense that how it's been used by various kind of groups in society and how that's has reflected on Burberry as a brand. The one thing about Burberry is it has this very characteristic kind of tartan pattern, and to see a in-game sort of character wearing Burberry like this, I guess to some of us in the UK it seems fairly preposterous. But that's clearly not how the brand is portrayed in different geographies in the world, and clearly not the case in China. So let's unpick it a little bit. So Tencent, the biggest games company in the world, actually one of the biggest internet companies in the world, obviously Chinese company, has this game called Honor of Kings. It is the biggest game in China. It is a what we call a MOBA. So it is actually a kind of a team-based fighting game. It doesn't look like this. It's not like a nice gentle game where you wander around a forest. It's a massive fighting game. This is just some artwork showing this character. So there is a version of this game available in the West, which is kind of separate. And Honor of Kings is just the Chinese version of it, and in fact the skins, these cosmetic digital items are only available in Honor of Kings and only in mainland China. So it is quite a controlled sort of deal, which is interesting. It's interesting that they don't want to make this kind of more widely known. But I guess it does go to show how brands now are being a bit more discriminatory about how they want to show themselves, what sort of games they want to show themselves in, and where those games are even available. So I guess with all these sort of things, you kind of see how they develop and whether you can then do more stuff with it. But one of the interesting things about these kind of things is they generally are limited edition, so they're not just available forever. It's a kind of a retailing impulse to say, you love Burberry, so it's a really cool brand. Maybe you can't buy it in China, but you can set up your characters in the game using this, but it's only available for a few months, so buy it now. Obviously once you buy it you can have it forever in the game, but it won't be available forever to buy, so that just provides that sort of kind of impulse retailing stuff. As we say here, as this analyst kind of points out, this has been going around for a while, particularly European brands and Asian audiences. So this is a Louis Vuitton collection for Final Fantasy, a Japanese game, obviously much known around the world, but here's these kind of little kind of bags. And in fact, in some of these things, you might not even want to own something like that in the real world. It might be fairly pointless for you to own it in the real world. But this goes to show that people are, have been for years using their in-game avatars, whether it's a specific game or whether it's an environment, but have been using those to reflect kind of their some parts of their behavior and some parts of their characteristic, and maybe explore other parts as well. So the fluidity of digital environments is being reflected here, in the sense that you might want to own something very peculiar, like this little bag that probably you can only put your phone in. Might not have much use in the real world. So yeah, there's Prada and all these sort of brands are kind of coming to games, and interestingly, kind of games, even like fantasy games, are kind of accepting of real world brands, and somehow it seems to make sense. Which just goes to show, I think, as we're looking at beyond games, games have become part of everyone's general kind of life digitally, and spilling out into the real world, and equally the real world brands and real world kind of events are spilling back into the digital world, and it's becoming a very kind of interesting kind of combination, and interesting intersection of Venn diagram, if you want to put it that way. Anyway, that's what we got for today. Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're interested in what's going on with games and how games are influencing the rest of society. But thanks for watching this one, and see you again soon.